A very popular theological theory says before anything gets too hard on the earth, before judgments become too severe, we're out of here. Because Yah is not going to make us go through too much. Maybe if you don't go along with that one, you're still thinking about the idea, well, no matter what happens, He's got this, He's got me, and I just don't have to worry about it. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, Day 2 of the Torah portion, Noach. We're still in Bereshit, Genesis, chapter number 6. Let's look at verse number 13. And Elohim said to Noach, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with Hamas. Yes, Hamas, or violence, through them, and see, I am going to destroy them from the earth. He says, make yourself an ark of gopher wood, make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and outside with a covering. And following then are the dimensions of which this ark is to be constructed. I remember watching a movie on the Bible in general, I believe it was. And this is a much older movie, decades old. And there, I think it was John Huston was playing the role of Noach, and he was in his carpenter shop. And so he hears the voice, and he hears the dimensions, and so he clears some of the tooling and wood products off of his desk and begins to write down what Yah is saying to him. What's interesting to me is that when Noah comes off of the ark, a little later on in this Torah portion, he's not building anything. He builds an altar perhaps, but then he's not building houses in so much that we see in Scripture. What he does is he plants a vineyard. My thought is that Noach was not a carpenter at all, but rather he was a man of the soil, a man who sowed seed and a man who planted and a man who then reaped, and that was his occupation. If that is true, and again, that's my theological theory, if that is true, then Noach was called to operate in grand scale to the point of saving humanity from impending judgment, by operating in an area that he was maybe not gifted in, at least not initially. Now, you cut a few trees down and you kind of get the hang of it. Maybe he learned the best way to cut the trees down. He was told to build it of gopher wood. That means he may not have built this ark in his backyard, but rather in a grove of gopher wood. Clearing the trees, moving the trees, using whatever hand toolings that they might have had at that time, at least that we know of. Not aware that he had an operational sawmill, maybe, but kind of doubt it. That meant dressing the wood, planing the wood, somehow bringing it into a shape of a timber, and then stockpiling enough to get started. He would have had to have some Yah-given ingenuity, even if he was a carpenter. No one was a boat builder, I don't believe, in his region. So this is all new math. This is all a new idea. But what Yah commanded him to do, he enabled him to do. I believe that we can anticipate the same understanding, however the last days end up, or if we are indeed a part of them. My belief is that we are. I expect to be among those that see the sky roll back like a scroll and our Messiah appear in the sky. That's my goal. That's what I believe will happen with me. I can be wrong, but that's my goal. So Messiah come and in our lifetime. If not, then at some point later on, there's going to be a group of people that Yah will begin to instruct and let them know now is this time. And this is what you must do. Later we read here how that it says in verse 17, I myself am bringing flood waters on the earth to destroy all flesh, which is the breath of life from under the heavens. All that is on the earth to die. And then verse 18 says, and I shall establish my covenant with you. And you shall come into the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you, and all the living flesh, of all the living flesh, 2 of each. You are to bring into the ark to keep them alive with you, a male and a female. And then he describes the various kinds of living creatures that are to be brought in. Now, why he brought termites and insects such as ticks and mosquitoes, I don't know. We'll ask in the kingdom. Noach is given a covenant relationship. Based on the covenant relationship, not necessarily how well he builds the ark, but the covenant relationship is that which enables he and his family to come inside. We don't endure the trials and tests of any last days that we may face because of how many beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, thank you, Mike Clayton, that you save up and are able to store. It's not about whatever bunker system you might have. It's not about whatever communication systems you develop. You can make the greatest preparations that anyone has ever seen to survive traumatic times and times of testing. But the ark of safety is not in the physical and that which is coming, but in the spiritual. This ark is a representation of Yeshua, our Messiah. Having a covenant relationship with him enables us to come into a place of safety. Now, I do not believe that we're going to have the great escape where we get out of here before the world goes into tribulation. Noach was not taken off of the earth. He was left on it. He wasn't taken out of tribulation. He was taken through it. He endured. Now, if you think, well, he got off scot-free. Think about this. A year in a encapsulated environment with the smell of animals and eating what you have provided to eat. Nothing's fresh. The air system, though it may have been ingenious, it may have been tested. The casting back and forth of this boat, can we not imagine that they may have gotten seasick at some point? Life was a challenge. Imagine living an entire year without sunlight. Depression, anxiety. You mean they never had an argument on the ark? You mean they never had a restless night? You don't think that they had some time of fear? They had to endure. So even in the covenant relationship, it's not as though we're going to walk off of carpeted floors and step into gold streets in the kingdom somewhere. I don't know, and I've said this before, I don't know that anybody will get into the kingdom without a scar somewhere. Maybe there will be. Maybe we don't understand the last days as clearly as we think that we do. My point today is Noach and his family and animal life, including birds and all that was on the ground, survived and endured to a place to where they could come out and reproduce and start again because of, number one, obedience to the word, which then led to a covenant relationship. That's our call. Be prepared and knowledgeable of the word. Obey the word. He could have got all the plans he wanted, but he had to go to work. Believing the word takes work. It takes activity. And then we're granted covenant relationship because obedience indicates righteousness, and righteousness produces belief that leads to covenant. And hopefully this will lead you to this place tomorrow, and we'll see you again then. Until then, shalom.